Can your thoughts, your expectations, literally change the chemistry of your own body? Not through some kind of magic, but through a powerful biological process that we're only now really beginning to understand. That's what we're diving into today. David Robson's The Expectation Effect, and how your brain isn't just observing the world, it's actively predicting, and in doing so, shaping your physical reality.
Okay, so right off the bat, let's get one thing crystal clear. This is not magical thinking. We're not talking about the secret here, the idea that your thoughts can somehow control the outside world. No, this is about biological steering. It's a scientifically backed idea that your brain's predictions directly control your internal world, your own physiology. This is neuroscience, not wishful thinking. So how in the world does this biological steering actually work? Well, it all starts with a completely new way of looking at the brain itself. You have to forget that old model of the brain as just a passive sponge soaking up information. It turns out your brain is an active architect, and it is constantly building the reality that you experience.
At the very heart of this is the idea of the brain as a prediction machine. See, your brain isn't just sitting back waiting for your eyes and ears to send it information. It's constantly running a simulation, using every past experience you've ever had to predict what's about to happen next. It operates from the top down, and trust me, once you get what that means, it'll change how you think about pretty much everything.
So what's the difference? Well, the old view was bottom up. It's simple. Light hits your eyes, that info goes to your brain, and your brain figures out what it is. But the top-down model flips that script. It says your brain is already one step ahead. It makes a prediction, like, I expect to see a coffee cup on my desk, and then it just uses the data from your eyes to confirm or correct that prediction. Your expectation literally shapes what you perceive in the first place.
All right, so if the brain is making all these predictions, what happens next? This is where things get really wild. Those predictions, they aren't just abstract thoughts floating around. They trigger real, physical, chemical changes in your body. It's like you have your very own pharmacy right inside your head.
And that's the core idea right here, the internal pharmacy. Your brain has the power to dispense its own incredibly potent, body-altering chemicals based on nothing more than belief and anticipation. Just think about that. The simple expectation that you're going to feel better can cause your brain to release the very chemicals that actually make you feel better.
And look, we're not talking about some weak, watered-down stuff here. Your brain can produce its own natural opioids for pain relief, endorphins. It can produce cannabinoids that regulate your mood. And of course, it pumps out dopamine to keep you motivated. It's a powerful chemical cocktail, and it's all controlled by your expectations.
And this is a huge but. You have to be warned, this whole system is a double-edged sword. There's something called the Nocebo effect, which is basically the placebo's evil twin. If you strongly expect a medication is going to give you side effects, your brain can literally create those symptoms. A negative expectation can make you physically ill.
Now, this might all sound a little out there, but this isn't just a theory. The proof is in the data from some absolutely fascinating studies. So let's start with a crazy one, how your mind can directly take control of your metabolism.
You got to hear about this study. Participants were given the exact same 380-calorie milkshake on 2 different occasions. The only thing that changed was the label. One time it was marketed as this decadent, high-fat, indulgent shake. The other time it was called a healthy, low-fat, sensible shake. Remember, it's the exact same drink. The results are just staggering.
And here it is. When people thought they were drinking the indulgent shake, their levels of Ghrelin, that's the hunger hormone, dropped like a rock, telling their body, hey, you're full. But when they drank the identical shake, labeled sensible, their Ghrelin levels barely budged. I mean, just look at the difference on that chart. Their bodies didn't respond to the calories in the shake, they responded to the idea of the shake.
And this effect isn't just about food. It applies to exercise too. There's a famous study that looked at hotel maids, who obviously have a very physically demanding job. So researchers asked a simple question. What would happen if we just changed their belief about all that work they were already doing?
So they split the maids into 2 groups. They told one group that their daily work was amazing exercise and actually met the Surgeon General's health recommendations. They told the other group nothing. And the results? The group that was told their work was exercise saw their body weight go down, their blood pressure drop, and their body fat percentage improve. They didn't work any harder. Their belief unlocked the benefits of the work they were already doing. Incredible.
So, okay, these daily effects are pretty mind-blowing. But what about the long game? As it turns out, our beliefs and expectations can influence the biggest health metric of all, how long we actually live. They can literally help write our future.
Just take stress, for example. We're all taught that stress is a killer.
but it turns out it really depends on how you frame it. If you feel your heart racing and you think of it as a threat response, your body gets flooded with damaging cortisol and your blood vessels constrict. But if you reframe that exact same feeling as a challenge response, your body getting amped up and ready for action, your blood vessels actually dilate, your heart pumps more efficiently, and you get sharper focus. Same physical sensation, completely different result.
And this might be the most powerful statistic in the entire book. Studies have found that people who have a positive view of aging live on average 7.5 years longer than those who have a negative view. 7.5 years? That is a bigger positive impact on lifespan than quitting smoking or starting to exercise in middle age, just from your mindset.
So what this tells us is that our cultural stories about getting older, that it's all about becoming frail and weak and forgetful, those stories can become a toxic, self-fulfilling prophecy. By expecting to decline, we might actually be teaching our bodies to do exactly that.
So, after all this evidence, what do we do with this information? Well, the good news is we are not just victims of these subconscious predictions. We can actually take the wheel. We can learn how to become the architects of our own experience.
The key is to adopt a mindset of realistic optimism. Now, this isn't toxic positivity. It's not about ignoring reality. If you have a broken leg, you can't just wish it better. It's about acknowledging the facts of a situation and then consciously choosing to steer your body's response in the most helpful, productive direction possible.
And if you need one final absolutely mind-bending piece of proof, get this, the open-label placebo. In these studies, doctors tell patients flat out, this is a sugar pill. It has no active ingredients. And guess what? It still works. The power isn't in the trickery. It's in the belief that's triggered by the ritual of taking a pill, a belief in the body's own incredible power to heal itself.
So when you boil it all down, the message is incredibly empowering. We are not just passively experiencing our lives. Our brains are actively creating our physiological reality every single second of every day. And understanding that, well, that gives us a profound new level of agency over our own health and our own lives.
Which really just leaves us with one final, powerful question to think about. Your brain is the architect, and it is constantly writing the blueprint for your body. So, the question you have to ask yourself is, what are you telling it to build?